The movie begins with a woman telling us that humans have doomed the planet. When the Earth started dying, scientists sent power stations into space to harvest energy of other planets, but it was too late. Humans began to die at an alarming rate. One day 100 ships flew into space, taking 99% of survivors to a power station called Io orbiting Jupiter's moon. On Earth we see a lone figure in a suit, searching around an abandoned building. We see a female figure removing a piece of plumbing and putting it in her bag before spotting something moving in the water at her feet. She then logs an audio entry speculating that what she is seeing is possibly mosquitoes and also black algae. She then checks the toxicity of the air around her using a lighter, then takes a sample of the water also. She then reads a piece of art left on the wall before hurrying out of the building. Outside she notes that the plants are changing colors. She then gets an alarm and runs to a motorcycle nearby, replenishing her oxygen supply just in time. She gets on her bike and heads out through the gloomy empty city. She ascends a mountain and crosses a line indicating that the air is clean, still not removing her gear though. She rides until she gets to her home. She disinfects in her suit then takes a bath. She makes a log about her discovery of anaerobic reproduction in water striders, indicating that she discovered a new species, and that Earth is not dying but evolving. She sends the log to her lover in the space station Io named Elon, signing it with her name Sam. Sam then removes one bee from her hive, apologizing to it, before exposing it to the water she collected in the city. However, the bee dies. We then hear a response that she has received from Elon commending her on her progress and research trying to save the dying Earth. He tells her that Io has harvested enough energy to survive indefinitely in space. He warns her that the last pocket of air she survives and will soon run out and that she and her father need to make it to the last ship off Earth. Sam then listens to a recording of her father about the survival of species on Earth. We then see Sam testing the same liquid on her own skin and keeping track of the progress. Sam also goes up to her observatory where she uses a powerful telescope to see the large spaceship near Jupiter. One day, Sam is watching 8B documentary when she receives a message from Elon. He tells her that they have located a near-Earth-like planet and will be sending a mission to investigate. Before the message can be completed, her monitor goes dead. Sam then puts on her gear and rides her bike to the library in the city. She goes to remove a cord for a monitor when she notices a huge storm coming in. She heads back to her home where she notices that the flame that she uses to check for ammonia in the air has gone fully purple. She rushes inside and begins to close up all the exits, then finally getting herself a refill of oxygen. She changes off and fixes the monitor, completing the message from Elon, who warns her to leave Earth, even if it means leaving her father behind. When the storm has passed, Sam is finally able to remove her oxygen mask and goes out to check on her bees, only to see that all of them have been blown away, causing her to scream in anger. She checks in her laboratory, which has been completely destroyed. While taking a log about the recent storm and the loss of her bees, fuel, and progress in her research, Sam heads outside where she sees a large balloon in the clouds. The large module is guided to the ground and a figure steps out, falling to his knees. He checks the air for ammonia and seeing that it's clear, he removes his mask. The man tells her that he is here to see Dr. Walden, claiming that he heard his radio signal. Sam stares in shock as she thought that she was the only person left on Earth. Sam gives him some water to drink. The man asks to see Dr. Walden and she claims that she is his research assistant, but he only wants to speak with him. Sam tells him that her father is currently off the mountain gathering specimen and the man says that he will wait. Sam then tells him that she will make dinner and carries out fresh vegetables, which shocks the man. As they eat, he reveals that everything everywhere he passed is dead. After dinner, Sam reveals more details to the man. She then begins to play the recording of her father and the man realizes that that's what he heard on the radio. He introduces himself as Micah and Sam leaves him for bed for the night. The next morning, Sam comes out to see Micah staring up at the clouds and asks for his help in repairing a few solar panels. Micah then helps her hoist up a small wind turbine. She explains to Micah that Elon is more than a friend and the relationship comes with a lot of letters and loneliness. She reveals that Dr. Walden is her father, but Micah has already figured it out. She brings him to her garden and he asks her about her tattoos and the markings on her body. She explains her tattoos and tells him that she is trying to build up immunity to the ammonia. She then shows him a video of herself near the city with a pet pig she once had, showing a flame that is yellow and not purple. He asks how it is possible, and Sam tells him that things are changing even though the pig eventually died. Sam tells him that she thinks that he is really brave for making the journey and that her dad would have thought so too, which causes him to think The next day Sam finds Micah in their parents' room. Micah asks her what her father did to her mother, and Sam gets defensive. Micah yells at her that her father caused her mother's death before barging into another room. Samantha then has a flashback to seeing her father for the last time. He asks her about Elon and tells her that there is nothing better than human connection and urges her to leave the planet. Sam then brings Micah to the spot where she buried her father. Micah apologizes for yelling at her and tells her that whether she likes it or not, he is taking her to Io as she has her life ahead of her. Sam agrees, and Micah tells her that she will be leaving soon after plotting their course and waiting for a favorable wind. The next night, Sam watches as Micah starts a fire. While we hear Sam sending an audio letter to Elon about meeting Micah, we see that she has emptied Micah's bag and searched his belongings. The next day, Micah sees that the queen bee has survived and runs to get Sam. Micah asks her what does this mean, and Sam says it means nothing before releasing it. Sam receives an audio letter from Elon. He explains that he was chosen to be among the first fleet to the New World, and Sam breaks down crying, knowing that she will never see him for a long time. Meanwhile, Micah empties his pod and checks the wind. Later, Micah is cooking dinner while Sam asks about his background. After dinner, Sam is washing up while Micah reads a book. He nervously tries not to look at Sam while she stares back at him. Micah then checks the wind and comes in angry at it not changing. Sam walks up close to him telling him that it will change. She puts on music and comes over and kisses him. Micah pushes her off and says he can't, but Sam says that they have to. After participating in demonetizing activities, Sam brings Micah to the observatory and shows him the colony near Jupiter. Sam then sends a final audio letter to Elon, explaining that her father had passed a while back and it was her choice to stay on Earth, bidding farewell to him while looking up at the stars. The next day, there is a broadcast over the radio inside Micah's pod, telling him that they have moved the launch site to further away. Micah is pissed as they don't have enough helium to make the journey. He tells Sam that it was her father that told him and his family to stay on Earth, giving them hope. He confesses that he had food rations for himself and watched his family die. He had come to seek revenge on her father, but changed his mind when he met her, hoping to save her life. Sam thanks him and tells him where they can get helium, but it is farther than she has ever gone and they would need to stay overnight. Later, Sam sends a broadcast to anyone that may be possibly listening. She confesses that her father has passed away. The two then set out for the location to refill on helium. They ride through the bleak abandoned city. They arrive at the location and Micah sees helium and they load up. They decide to camp for the night. They decide to reduce their oxygen intake and relaxing and setting their alarms for when they need to refill. The next morning, they begin to inflate the pod when Sam says that she will soon be back. Micah reminds her that they leave in 1 hour before she heads off. Sam arrives at a nearby museum. While filling up the balloon, Micah gets a notification that his oxygen is running low. Sam is checking out the art exhibit inside when Micah comes to get her, telling her that they need to leave. The two talk about the art and Micah realizes that she is still hanging on to Earth. He tells her that her father and mother would be proud, but Sam reveals that she is not coming with Micah to Io. He tells her that they can talk about it at the launch site. Sam tells him about a recurring dream that she has of her standing on the beach. She tells Micah that she sees life on Earth. She refuses to change her oxygen tank. She then removes her mask as Micah rushes over to her. Later, we see Micah alone in his pod, heading to the launch site. A few years later, we hear Sam sending an audio letter to Micah about her while she is standing on a misty beach. She tells him that she is waiting for him to return as we see a little boy, Micah's son, run to her side. Subscribe for watching more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.